Hello, good afternoon, my friends. How are you? Let's see, we have Dottie in the house, my Pookie, Sissy Poo, Marcy. Oh, yes. I don't know everything about gouache, but being a watercolorist, I have a few things to share. How is everyone today? Good afternoon. Can y'all hear me and see me okay? I shouldn't need my wristband. Oh, where's my other bracelet? Ooh. Oh no! Cannot find my Chris bracelet. Oh my goodness. That's it. The stream is ruined. Kidding. You can see me okay? Yeah, I don't know what I did with all right, well, you can't find where I put it. I took it off the other day. Okay, so I'm not going to waste any more time because, we got stuff to do. I guess I thought I wasn't going to need and I may not once I get to painting, but it's so hot here, guys. So putting on this wrap, believe it or not, causes me to sweat. Hot flashes, menopause, all the fun stuff us women have to go through. Plus, my illness is the big troublemaker. Chris, hello. How is everyone today? Marcy's great. Okay, well, we're going. So, you may not have known, but I was a collaborator 2 years ago with Chalkola, and I still was, and I still continued to have my coupon code available to you guys in the description box, and it's there again. So if you want to go over there and then purchase something, you can get 10% off using my code. So I've done a couple projects with the pens that I got from them. Today, or no, last week, they reached out to me again, wanted to collaborate again, and they sent me their 36 set paint of gouache paint, and that's what we're going to review today. And they've also asked me to be a Chalkola ambassador, so that's exciting. I don't know all what that means, but hey. So I got my water here. Got a few brushes that I'm going to use today. My dab towel. I brought out a stencil. And my favorite paste of all time, the paper paste. We're going to play this today. But first, we need to open up this bad boy. I did open it only to make sure that nothing was wrong. I didn't open any of the paints or look at anything really. On the back of the box, it's nice because it gives you the color chart in a relatively large size, which is nice. And they have all the product information. Paints are made with pigments. And some companies use more pure pigments than other companies, depending on the way they make their paint and the color they're trying to achieve. And just, I mean, lesser expensive craft paints are going to be a little more chalkier than others. So we're going to check out how gouache, how their gouache stands up. Now I have a professional grade of gouache and the Arteza brand of gouache. So we're going to see where I'm going to tell you where I think these fall in at between the two. And depending on the pigment, the pigment load and the pigment that they use and the colors. Some companies, for instance, sap green. I prefer M. Graham. Some people may prefer, a different brand. So, and there's Golden has their own paints and that. So it's a whole big thing. But the pigments that they use and the amount of pigment they use, and if it's a pure pigment that they use to create the paints, it creates the light fastness and the color itself. The better light fast your paints are, the longer your project's going to last, right? So they give it a rating, and on the back of this box, some companies don't easily provide their pigment information. Some of the lesser expensive paints sometimes do not. And in looking at this pigment chart in comparison to other paints, and I've had all kinds of different paints to play with, so I'm quite familiar with watercolor. And then the difference between gouache and watercolor is that gouache is an opaque paint. Watercolor is generally very transparent, and you can do a lot of layering with it, and it's got beautiful movement and everything. Gouache paint, they add something to it to make it opaque, and sometimes when it comes to the gouache and being opaque, sometimes it can get real chalky compared to other brands. So that's another thing to look out for. And it depends on what you're trying to achieve. So if I'm just making cards or something simple, or we're experimenting here on the channel, I'll pull out my Arteza gouache. But if I'm painting on a project that I'm actually going to sell, every time we'll grab my professional paints. And I have M. Graham's gouache, and that's my professional brand of choice. But like I said, a lot of companies have their own gouache. So you have to experiment. If you like watercolor, get a small or a sample, or maybe a couple tubes of the paint that you want to try out to see how you like it. Some people prefer their gouache to be more chalky, whereas in others prefer it to be more smooth. So it just depends on what you're looking for. But also, so then on the back of this box also, it tells you the opacity. So it's really nice that this chart is large. It's not usually, a lot of times they could be tiny, but it gives you all the information related to all their paints. So that's a nice thing. So my initial review of the actual packaging is good. I like it. And they advertise that it's high intensity colors, so it's gonna have a really strong pigment load. It's gonna pop and be bold, high with the high intensity. And they say they're quality artist pigments, premium quality artist pigments. So we're going to check it out. We're going to test all the colors today. We're going to do all the colors. So right away you get a little mixing well palette to, you know, put your paint in. You get a nice little sponge. This sponge is good when you're, you know, to dab off your water as you come out of your rinse water. And let's see. And this is lightweight. So if you have a travel bag, this might be a good thing that you can stick in your travel bag. Okay, so we're going to use that today for no other reason that it's in there. And because I have my own, you know, setup and everything. They give you a palette knife and like the perfect middle size. And this is actually one of my favorite sizes. So this will be nice because I can use this with our paste to do our mixed media trial play. They gave you some artist brushes, value pack, made by, I don't know. It's not a packaging I recognize. And I can tell you right away that these are synthetic brushes, which, you know, it's fine, especially if you're just, you know, starting out, you know, and you don't have many brushes. This would be a you know, a good set to play with for a while, because they do give you all the different sizes of the brushes, flats, and let's see, they got a couple liners in there. They got a fan brush, a filbert, a couple filberts actually. Yeah, so you got a good variety of brushes. Tells you, you know, what the brush shows you, like an example of what the brushes can do. I'm not going to use these today because I prefer to use my own. But yeah, if you don't have gouache, from what I've seen already, so if you don't have gouache and you want to try it, the price point on this is good. And with my 10% coupon or coupon code, this would be a good set for you to dabble with. You know, if you wanted to play and get a feel for opaque watercolor. Let's see, let me put these over there. This is nice. I've seen this and I thought this was really nice. They already, usually, as artists, we have to tape off our own or mark off our own color swatch sheet. So that's nice that they give you that, especially if you're new. This is a good thing to have. But with any watercolors, I always swatch them. So yeah. And this set comes with metallics as well. So I'm just taking a quick look at all the different paints. We're going to try each and every color today. No way. What? Hold on. Rabbit trail. Where did I put my, oh, here's my paper. I got to try this color right away. And I'm going to turn my mat over in a second. Looks a little yellow. Oh yeah, that's very yellow. Even though it's opaque, it's still very yellow. I mean, you can obviously, the more water, the more translucent it becomes. But this is more yellow. Now, of course, these are my professional paints, and they're not opaque. These are, yeah. So did I put, no, yeah, I did. I put it in. Yeah, I knew I did. Okay, where's my brush? See this luscious, like creamy golden yellow, hence the gold ochre. Now, even though this is my professional transparent grade, you can just, the pigment color is not what I'm familiar with. And it's just the way they make it. It has nothing to do with the actual brand of the paint. You know, it's nothing negative against the brand of the paint. It's just how they mix their color. But I would say that it's not what I'm accustomed to in terms of color. Yeah. Let's see. Buffy! Hello, Sophia girl. Let me see. Let me go over there and check that out. My mods are on top of it. Pookie, you are awesome. Yes, that is the link. Pookie has it there for you. Mama. Okay, I just compared. Now, and I know it's a little biased and unfair, but I just compared my gold ochre professional color compared to the Chalkola gold ochre. Oops, let me. Here's you guys can really see the difference there. And just the color. I'm not talking about transparency or you know, any of the other attributes other than the color itself. So yeah, and I prefer this one. It's just a beautiful golden color. Okay, so I just had to detour there. Sorry, rabbit trail. All right, so we're gonna and then where's the, oh, that's right on the back of the box. So let me put no, that's fine. I'll just leave it in there. I don't trust the putty tat coming by and spilling all my colors. All right, so that's gonna be that. The first thing we're gonna do is swatch them. Is there 36 up here? 30, 34. Why? I wonder if there's two of one color. Oh yeah, there's. Okay, so here's one thing that I would say that I'm nothing bad about Chalkola. It's a good thing, but it's kind of a odd thing too. Is that you don't get 36 individual colors because you get 2 titanium white in this set, so you're really only getting 35 colors. And you have 2 of the zinc white. And we're going to check the opacity of those because the one thing about gouache is that it's supposed to be opaque. So we're going to test that. Do they have both of those on here even? Probably not. Oh, okay. So we'll do the whites over the name. I think that's how they wanted you to do it. Oh, no, they have titanium. Oh, zinc and titanium. So which other color? Oh, that's 34. Okay, yeah. So you get 34 individual colors and 2 of each of your whites. Which, depending on if you like doing, you know, white sprinkles on your artwork, that might be a good thing. If you're really into, you need to mix a certain color and get a certain quality of that, or combination of that color. Make it either darker or lighter. They also have black in here, and that would be the one in gouache that will. And I bet you the reason why they did that. I bet you they did. No, maybe they didn't, because Arteza has their whites separate too. I was thinking maybe they kept out the white or gave you some more white to allow you more mixing power. Because one thing with some of the companies like M. Graham, which I love, their gouache, you get all the colors, but the colors aren't opaque until you add the white. So I thought that might be what they were doing here, but it doesn't seem so. I think they just gave you extra white. Anyway, I digress. Let's get the swatching and seeing some color go down, right? Oh. And let's use our little tray here. And I'm just going to put out a tiny dot of the different colors. And we're going to start where they start. The other thing you have to keep in mind with gouache, because it may be the lesser expensive brands, like I said, theirs can tend to be chalky, more chalky than the professional grade, because they have more fillers in them. But we'll see how these stand up. This one a little bit on there. Oh, that's a trick to show you guys. So if you open up a tube of paint, or you have tubes of paint and you want to keep them fresher longer and without the cap sticking and getting all yucky, when you're done, see, watch, here's, let me show you. So I have paint. I have paint there sticking out, right? Right. So it's sticking out. You don't want to put the cap on. If you squeeze it like this, it sucks the paint back in there. That's just a little side note. Hola, hi. How are you doing? You have no internet. Okay, well, enjoy your time at the lake. And I'm just putting little dabs of color on there. The consistency of the paints is creamy right now, and creamy, very much like a professional grade. You could like Artesa's gouache. I love them, but they're not. I don't think they're as creamy as this. So there, so far, is a positive. Because the thing about watercolor, and depending on what the pigment is and all that, once they're dried, it sometimes can be hard to release the paint, and yeah, that's not really, takes you longer to paint with that set, depending, so you just have to watch, like, and I hate to say any brand, but if you've not tried watercolor and you want to try watercolor or gouache, whichever one, it doesn't matter, please, please, please do not, I mean, it's not a big deal, but I'm just saying, I wouldn't recommend getting your big box store brands. Let's just put it that way. Because I think with watercolor, and a lot of artists will agree, is that, you don't need to necessarily buy the best when you start out, because you don't want to invest a whole bunch of money in something you may not like. You may not like the medium at all, regardless if it's watercolor or gouache. But so I do recommend a small brand, small amount to start out with. But there's some good brands out there that are starters, like this one, for example, if you're new to gouache. But there's also like Jerry's Artorama. Who's that? Oh goodness, Joe's, what's that? Joe's store. Oh, can't think of it offhand. Really? Yeah. Bye, Marcy. Okay. Ooh, this is a pretty color. It's turquoise. Ooh, that looks very close to, yeah, we're going to have to test that one against the Ingram. And I'm not going to be doing a lot of professional comparison on this, because that's not really fair. But I just want to test a couple colors that I'm familiar with, how they're supposed to, or my preferred look. Because some, you know, I think I was starting to say that earlier, is that like sap green in every company is different. Some can be very similar, but sap green is different, like in every paint company. Where do I want to put this? Let's see. Let's put this here. So that's tray one, without the whites, but we will put the whites up here. Jackson, Cheap Joe's. Thank you, Mama. But, you know, so shop around. But there, you know, Jerry's Autorama has a couple really nice sets. I've never used them, but I've heard, and I'm not sure if anybody else sells them. I don't think so. I think they're strictly a Jerry's Autorama brand. But there's Marie's watercolors. What did I do that? Oh. Jerry Artorama's house brand is really good for starters, for newbies, in terms of regular watercolor. I don't know if they have a gouache in their brand, but yeah. So anyway, Chalkola, let's talk about them a little bit. So they're a company that's been around quite some time now. And, you know, obviously they carry chalk paint and markers and all of that. You know, it's that's in the name, right? But they also, in the recent years, and they're family run. They're not, you know, a big box company in that regard. But Chalkola is they're actually really awesome, and they have a lot of wonderful things. Like if you're a teacher, they would be good to get some things there, chalk markers and such. But in the recent years, they've expanded their product line to include different watercolor products and other chalk, more adult chalk products for you to use. So there's lots out there, and the link to the website is in my description box. Joann's, yeah, but Joann's usually has very little in there. I wouldn't. Joann's is like a big box store to me, but they do carry some other brands, and you might catch something on sale or something or whatever. But I mean, I wouldn't totally rule them out, but yeah, I just wouldn't buy the big box store's house brands. That's all, and that includes Joann's, any big box store. Oh, this is a funky color. It's very creamy. Oh, no wonder why I love it. It's rose. It's the color of rose. And the other thing to keep in mind, and this is regardless if you're in acrylics or watercolor, if you're new to the painting world in general or the crafting world, you know, the colors, the names of the colors. This is the pearl white over here. can sometimes vary. You know, like one company might call it Rose Madder, where another company might call it Rose. Like, for example, I have the Daniel Smith is one of my other favorite brands of paints, and I have their the coral color that I love. But in the engram I have it, but it has a completely different name, and you would never know. And that's why it's always good to swatch your paints, because one thing in one company can mean another in a different company. So I'm putting down the metallics now. Even the metallics are really creamy coming out of the tube. The thing to keep in mind though with metallics and stone paints, hence the name, they can come with you know, they're made out of stone and rock and all that, and so they can be a little bit more difficult once they're cured to release. But that's just the nature of that paint, regardless of the company. I think, except for maybe Golden's paints, and I don't know if they have a Gouache. Honestly, I haven't looked in like forever. But their watercolor paints are, and I can't remember the name offhand. Somebody help me out. Their paints, they move like crazy, and they're super, super vibrant. Okay, now this is just the zinc white. It's not wanting to release. Okay, this one is a little bit more heavier in feel. I mean, it's still creamy, but that one probably will be a little bit more challenging to release once it's dry. Ugh. I got paint all over me. Thank you, Pookie. You guys are right on it. The other thing to keep in mind when you're working with watercolor, and we're going to see how these stand out. Ooh, they have a Payne's gray in here even. Wow. Sorry, I got sidetracked. What was I talking about? I got sidetracked on the fact that they have Payne's gray. What the devil was I talking about? Or gonna say? I was gonna say something. Oh, that's right. So in all paints, and I don't know if there's a difference in gouache versus regular watercolor. That's one thing I keep getting to look up. But in all paint companies, and this is just the nature of the colors themselves, but some colors are very staining, meaning that when you paint with watercolor, the idea is to many times, not every time, because I don't always paint. Oh, well, we already did this color, but I need to put it on there. Let's see, where can I put it? Some colors are more staining than others, and that's just the nature of the color. And the pigment load, you know, the pigment they use themselves, the binder that they use, the filler, if any. So there's a lot of different things that go into all the different paints, and all the different companies as well. Okay, now their sponge is just a normal, like soft, styrofoamy stuff. I'm gonna put it here, but I probably won't use it. I'm gonna use my towel. Okay, Scarlet Red. Let's go in. Here we go, peeps. Here we go. Now, right now, they're going to release really well because they're still wet. the nice thing, or an attribute about watercolor is that when it dries, you can continue to use it, right? So you can have watercolor in your studio forever. Yeah. It's a nice scarlet. Yeah, see, that sponge is not as, doesn't soak up as much as I would like. I didn't put enough of this out there. This is the Crimson Red. No, that's that color. Oh, what did they do to me? Oh, that's bizarre. So I started here, right? And then I went to this one, and then I went to this one. This one was, they were reversed in the packaging. So watch the when you do this, be mindful of that they were crisscrossed in the box. Because I don't need any more of that. I need the one that's this one, the second one. That's very strange. Crimson Red should be the second one. Yep. And okay. And since I took them out one by one, there's no way I could have crisscrossed them. Very, very naughty. Very naughty. In the second spot, but it goes here. Vermilion typically isn't one of my favorite colors, so it's okay. It's average. It's normal, I should say. I wouldn't say average. That may not be the right word to use. I would say normal. It's just not a color that I gravitate towards. But you, on the other hand, may love it. Look at that pretty color. OMG. Now this isn't necessarily a crimson color to me, but I love the color. I would say more of a more in the purple line. Yeah, it's more pinky. But I love it because it's got that. It's kind of a burgundy color. Let's see if you guys can. It's looking a little more orange in my. That's. Can't get that orange and red right in my color on my computer. Naughty, naughty. What's everybody doing today? Oh, I want to show you guys something too. Not related to Chalkola. Another rabbit trail. And the other thing about gouache versus regular watercolor is they tend to dry faster than regular watercolor because they have more filler and more product, opacity in their mix. Like I said, some of the inexpensive brands, the reason why they're that way is because they typically have more fillers than the professional grade. And if you're looking for a middle of the road watercolor palette, I can share that with you. I have a recommendation on that too as well. This is Naples Yellow. It's very lemony for Naples Yellow. Just saying. It's a little more lemony than I'm accustomed to. And I'll show you guys. Now this, in my professional grade paints, is an opaque color. So it's a true comparison. And that's this color right here. So this is Naples Yellow, and I think this is Daniel Smith. Yeah, I don't think it's in Graham. I think I only have it in the. And again, this isn't any bearing on Chalkola. So I'm going to pull out a couple of my cheese of colors too. But see how creamy that is? It's a nice, lovely, you know, the fleshy tone color compared to their Naples Yellow, which is very yellow. So that's what I mean. Like some companies have same name for different colors, or same color, different names. So, you know, I mean, you just, it's just things you're going to come across. Let's see. Yellow ochre. Her, let's watch these, and then we're going to have some fun. Gonna make some stuff. I might have a small giveaway today. Also, oh, again, not related to Chalkola, but a couple things. So I'm splashing, not dripping, I'm splashing the water. Later on, after today, this Chalkola stream, I'm going to come back on and start sorting my postcards. So if you're so inclined to keep me company, maybe for a little bit. If not today, then I might do it tomorrow. Depends on what time I get done with this, because it's 2:45. Yeah, so we'll see. But Saturday, I'm doing the final sale for this month. A live sale, you know. I did. We did a sale on Monday. Let's see. Too rough, Shauna. Too rough. This green is pretty. This is sap green. Now, see, this is a little more on the limey chartreuse side as far as the sap green goes, but I like the color. So I'm less worried about the name of the color and more about the attributes of the color, because when you're mixing your own paints, and you do that a lot when you're with professional grade or mid-grade paints, you a lot of times, you know, tend to, you know, mix colors and that. Whereas in like Prima and Arteza, because their paints are mixed differently, how to say it, light green. See, that color, this light green, to me, and it's not true, but it's more in line. This light green is more in line the sap green than this is. Anyway, what I was saying. So Prima, like their colors are pre-mixed for you. Wait, what did I do? Yeah. Their colors are pre-mixed for you. And a lot of times when you have non-pure, and that's where the pure pigment and non-pure pigment come in, is that a lot of times when you mix them, like pink and blue, you may not get purple or the color that you're accustomed to getting. So keep that in mind. Now these say artist quality pigments, so I don't know. We're going to see how they mix. I'm going to do some normal mixes that I'm accustomed to, using the colors they state they are, and see what we come up with. But yeah. Hi, Ray. Welcome in. You love some swatching? Awesome. It doesn't look right, Sophia. You know me. I am straight up and honest. You know, but I like the company Arteza. Even if I were to say I don't like these paints, and that's not what I'm saying right now at all. We're just getting started. But even if I were to say that I don't like these paints, Arteza is a good company to buy from. And these paints, everything, and I firmly believe this, every medium has its place in the world. I'm not an acrylic painter. Hate it, can't stand it, never. I got rid of the little bit of acrylic paint I had years ago because it's not what I do. It's not what I love to work with. But yeah. But yeah, I mean, it doesn't do me any good. And everybody, here's the thing about opinions and reviews and all that. Everybody has their own opinion, right? And they're entitled to their own opinion. So if I say I don't like something, doesn't necessarily mean that you shouldn't try it because you may like it. You know, I mean, but yeah. And if you just making cards or you know, doing simple things and you just want an opaque watercolor. I mean, because there's things that are nice. Gouache is typically used by you know, digital artists or what's that other digital artists and like comic artists and that because of their opacity level. I do like this. It's cerulean blue. It's beautiful. This is more. Well, we're gonna see. We're gonna see. I do think though that let me get out my Arteza gouache here for a second. So I do think that, and I may be wrong. I didn't put the. Did I put the name? No, I didn't. These are my Arteza gouache. This is the palette that kept it. I gotta find. Where did I put? Oh, gosh. 1 second, guys. You see, Odin's been scratching my box. Naughty boy, naughty kitty. Anyway, so this is my the Arteza gouache, and I like them. For me, for inexpensive, this was I did like them, and because I had one other gouache that I had that I didn't like, and then I got my professional gouache and called it a day. So I had this one, and I had this one in my professional gouache, and I like both of them for different things. But so this color, this cerulean blue, looks more like let me pop this out. Oh, I got it taped in there. Dagnabbit. So see this cobalt turquoise there? Now this is my professional grade paint, so it is what it is. But see how nice, it's just a really beautiful turquoise blue. This cerulean is that color to me. This was a lighter swatch, but it's still in that color. Whereas in the cerulean blue in a professional grade paint typically looks like that. So again, be careful, be mindful of that. If you're used to, you know, one thing and it says another, it's because every company is going to label theirs differently. Now, Arteza, they have ratings on their boxes too, which I thought was a plus when I reviewed them. You know, and you get more colors. I don't know if Chalkola has a bigger size. I don't think so. But they also give you the information here at the bottom, which is really nice. Yeah. But typically, gouache paints are a lot of times used for, you know, comic artists, people that are going to be digitizing or scanning their work. But if you're just doing cards and things, getting back to what started this conversation, is that cards, you know, things like that, even if you're going to sell them, using a gouache, you absolutely, you know, doesn't matter what brand it is at that point, or if you're doing it in your art journal. You know, I'm a big proponent of, you know, play, and play some more, right? So, yeah, the lesser expensive brands, you know, have their use, for sure. This is supposed to be violet. We'll see. No, that's not violet. Okay, maybe it is violet. Let's see. No, I didn't think so. I went off grid. This time it was me. This is, I think this is Depression Blue. Dadnabbit. Yeah. See, I know my colors. Up there. I like that Prussian blue. What do they say about the Prussian blue? Let me see. Generally, Prussian blue is a it has 3 stars. Okay. Actually, I'm looking at this chart. Most of them have 3 stars, which is better. The more stars or whatever the higher rating number is what tells you how good the paint is going to be for the attribute you're looking for, whether you're looking for more transparency, as far as the opacity goes, and the light fastness to tell you how long that paint is going to last, like how they call it fugitive, how fugitive your color is. And that just means that a fugitive, a regular fugitive in life, they run away, right? So the light fastness, the better light fastness, the longer the paint is going to last. If the paint only has like 1 star in it because it's a star rating, then you have to be mindful of that if you're trying to do bigger works of art. Just keep that in mind. But at the end of the day, if you're using this professionally, most likely, or I should say more often than not, you would be using this for work that you're going to scan or whatnot. So, you know, different strokes for different folks, right? Yeah, I swatch everything too, right? I can play around with a product, but I won't use it. Typically, unless I've swatched it, from markers to the only thing I didn't swatch that I know of to date, was my oil pastels. I have the one of the larger size of the Schminke oil pastels, and I didn't swatch those, but the box comes with swatch. But I guess I should swatch them one day. That's metallic. Trying to go out of order again. So this very opaque color here, which is probably going to look very similar to a Naples Yellow. No, it looks more like a Titan buff color, but they're calling it peach. So the color names are a little off. And really, at the end of the day, if you learn your colors, the name of the color doesn't matter. When you're shopping for watercolors, you want brand attributes, and the purer the pigment, the better they're going to mix. Now this swatch card, okay, here's another. Okay, so I said that they had their two reds up here switched. Now look, they have peach on here twice. Yeah, that's his. So I'm gonna have to figure out what was the color after peach in the lineup. Peach then became, this is silver. Make sure I don't have any. Oh no, they have silver down here. So they kind of go out of order a little bit. So I would say that that's another point. And these things aren't negative. They're just things that I'm observing. Typically when you swatch, and you can do it a couple different ways, but if you're just starting out, and this is, I think, geared towards both professional artists but it's a really good set so far that I'm, other than the name thing, that's good for beginners. But a beginner wouldn't know necessarily. You want to keep your paints in order, or swatch them in the order that they come in your box. So you get familiar with their name, what they look like. I would say I understand what they did here. They wanted to keep all the metallics together, but I'm not sure that for me that's beneficial. Wouldn't be beneficial to somebody that's new, I think. But that's just an observation. Okay, so back to their gold ochre. I'm gonna, because that, I don't know which one's gonna go in the peach spot yet, because we have to see. And again, their gold ochre is it's more on the lemony side. I did the comparison earlier. Here. So this is their brand, and this is a Daniel Smith brand. Yes. So their colors are a little different than, again, what I'm used to. But then that's not necessarily a negative either. And they may have a reason for why they make their paint the way they do. Because again, this is a family-owned business, so every business has, you have your manufacturers and all that, and they may have manufacturers, don't know who picked the colors, but Payne's gray. So that was actually really dark color. Is it this one? Or is that the black? That's the black. This is Payne's gray. No, that can't be Payne's gray. Oh, I see it. Or is that one black? That one is black. Oh, it is. That is the Payne's gray. Okay, it's a little tough to get it to release. Just make sure. And there's nothing wrong with this. this is Payne's Gray, and sometimes Payne's Gray can be more gray or more blue. So thinking theirs is more this gray color. Yeah. Okay. So, and there's nothing wrong with that. That's not a negative in any way. Because sometimes you want a grayer Payne's Gray than a bluer one. So that's just a note. And I'm a big avid user of Payne's Gray and neutral tint when I'm painting rather than black. You will rarely ever, even in other mediums as well, ever see me use black. To me, this gray has more life in it, even though I prefer the bluer Payne's Gray. This gray, it's actually a really pretty gray. I gotta say I like the gray. But what was I gonna say? Crap. My brain took a detour in Cincinnati. Right? This is why we swatch. Oh, Dottie. Okay, I hope you can come back. What was I going to say? Oh, black to me is a very dead color. But if you're using gouache, and you're obviously most likely wanting to use it because of the opacity nature. So you're probably, you're a comic artist or a digital artist or that kind of thing. Yeah. So just, where did I, oh, this was black. Black is darker, and there are times, very, very rarely, and I have them in my palette, that I'll reach for a black. But yeah, black is kind of, it's boring. It's kind of just there. It lays like a dead fish to me. Whereas in Payne's Gray or neutral tint, because they have the more blue aspect in it, it just is, and it typically, those colors suit all the other colors when they're used in a painting better than a black. And if you're wanting to become a naturalist watercolors, I'll do the white last. That's those two there. Ultramarine blue. You wouldn't use white or black anyway. Typically, if I want a really dark color, other than black, I'll mix my own. And I mix my own grays. So learning your pigments, and like I said, I think Jerry Rama's brand doesn't have as many colors in their regular watercolors. I think you can get a really nice set, and it's like, I think maybe 24 colors, regular watercolors from the Jerry's brand, and they're really nice paints. Yeah. And it's not Jerry's brand; it's got another name to it. But for gouache, I'm really liking these, and I love the Arteza, and nothing wrong with Arteza, but I'm really liking these paints. But again, I can't have a final. It wouldn't be fair for me to give a final opinion today until after they've had a chance to dry and I can see how well they want to release, because that's gonna dictate, or to help form my opinion. Let's see. Make sure that they didn't goof up again. Okay, sky blue. This is sky blue. Oh my goodness. Another reason why. Yeah. Okay. Well, the sky blue here now, because this is actually ultramarine, goes here. So I'm going to put the ultramarine here. What other color am I missing? Oh, I better not change anything until we figure out which one's actually missing. But I'm going to keep that out because this is actually sky blue. That's ultramarine right there. Yeah. So we'll come back to that. Okay, so I'm not going to put in ultramarine. Now we're going to put in lilac. Okay. Well, on another note, they gave me 2 tubes of violet. So that's why I have 2 puddles of violet over here. So I didn't get this lilac color. I got violet, which is this one, which is this. But I did not get, there's no other purples. No other, I'm not seeing it anywhere. Rose, violet. In actuality, here's another thing too, is this black should be over here and vice versa, because in the tray they go rose and then violet. So they have some, I would say packaging, processing differences that may cause you some irritation. So I don't know what color lilac is. I'm not going to put violet down there twice. So this one will go unpainted. Okay, so ochre. You know I have no filter. Yes. Yes, you're right about that. The acrylics, yeah. Yeah. Okay. But even then, even when I did acrylics, I rarely ever use black. It's just I don't know. You know, and there are places for it in watercolor painting. I'm not saying that, but it doesn't matter whether it's acrylic or what. Any medium, I just don't grab black. I'm not yeah. Okay, onward and upward. Okay, so that's the metallic. So then this is our ochre here. So, but again, this is a family-run business, and I think they may do their own packing. I'm not sure. You know, they may be kind of like, you know, Stencil Girl. It's all, you know, it's a small group of people because it's a family-owned business. So they may have where they're packaging the stuff themselves, but their manufacturer, they need to talk to their manufacturer and that. I don't know if they have where they control the facilities that does their packaging. Yeah. Okay, so burnt sienna, which again is out of order. It's way over here, and it should be over here. Not, you know, they should be. Yeah. I have the large Gansai Tambi set. Yeah, I have it. I have Gansai too. And they have a thing. Exactly, Safia. And that's where, you know, this the thing I noted about Artis is they didn't really have anything. And a lot of paints don't. When you buy the paints, you don't get a swatch card. But if you're going to provide one, and especially these companies that are geared either more towards crafters, you know, or that you know, they should, if they're going to include it, then it needs to be correct, right? That's just my feeling, my thoughts. I'm old school in that if you're going to do something, do it to the best of your ability. Do it right. Do it to the best of your ability. And so I didn't really say anything when the first time came up. When the first thing came up that was noticeable, but now there's several. So they definitely have some production issues. Hi, babe. Welcome home. How was work? Okay, so now we're done with all the base colors. Let's get into, okay, so and here's the other thing. So, okay, rose gold. All right, we have the pearl white. We'll do the whites last. I want to get a good clean water to use with the whites. To be able to review them, you need them in the purest form as possible. So you need a really clean brush and some clean water. And that'll help you keep your whites pure. So rose gold. So this is gold here. Right? Let me just make sure. No, this is okay. So we have peach. Then we have silver. Okay, and this is the silver here. Again, their metallics release real well, but they're still damp. They're not. Generally, if you want to you want to give your paints 24 hours to solidify, dry up in the palette, and then try to use them again to see their release factor. It's nice that they include some metallics in their set, so that's a positive. And their colors are really pretty. So there's that. Yeah. Bronze here, I think. Yeah. This is the bronze. Yeah, they did their excuse me. The card isn't necessarily matching the paints in the palette, and yeah, I do like that bronze though. It's a really pretty. Leans more towards the gold side. More like a white gold color. I really like that, rather than typically bronze can be a little more. To be lighter. I like the color of this one. Gold. Ooh, pretty gold. I do like that. I'm a person that leans more towards the whiter golds than I don't like the really bright orange yellow golds. They have their place for sure, but typically in any medium I work with, I typically gravitate and prefer. Like I have in my professional palette, and again, this has nothing to do with Chalkola, but in my professional palette, I have creamer, not sure. I think it's pronounced creamer. They have wonderful paints. And I've only bought their metallics, but that's it. Their metallics are just fantastic. So wait a minute. Okay, that was the rose. Okay. So rose gold here. Right? Yes. Where's this? Yeah, this is the rose gold color. And I would say that the rose gold, and it typically leans towards copper. It has copper attributes in the color. This is a really pretty copper. Yes, I do like that color. I do. I like their metallics. I don't know. I'm trying to see how well their pigment load is. Because the one thing about metallics, they can either be more transparent, than others. This was the bronze. Yeah, I do like their metallic colors. I mean, silver is silver. It's not wow to write home to. Nothing wrong with it at all. It's just silvers can tend to be, they can vary from company to company. So Okay, so who did I not get here? Let me make sure I got everybody because we have an extra box there that I don't know, and I couldn't have gotten to everybody. I know I got the 3 whites. I didn't get a lilac. Ultramarine is up here. So the sky blue, I need to put that one on there. I'm going to put that, I think, in the ultramarine, and I'll know that they're swapped because I know what the colors look. That's how I knew that it wasn't right. And see, that's the other thing. If you're not fully versed or familiar with the different colors in a general sense, even in the lightest general sense, you would not have known that this was an ultramarine in the set. This sky blue. It's what's the color? What's the name? Oh, what color am I thinking of? I don't have it in my pet. I don't. I'm thinking of the name. It's a really pretty color, but it's what's that other blue that a lot of people use instead of ultramarine, Mama? My brain is a sieve right now. What's that? Not cerulean, but dagnabbit. Hold on. Not me. The paper. It was not falling. Okay. David is not being nice to me, y'all. First, my chair tips me over, and he laughs at me now. This is it. No. Oh, come on. It's one of the basic triad colors. Here. Cyan blue. That's what I was trying to think of. This color is a cyan blue. Wait there. Okay, so I put my hand in the paint. So okay, so I know this goes there, right? But yeah, it goes there. Okay. Which color am I missing then? Oh, well, no, that's the lilac. Did I get double in another color? No, because I put them all out separately. See, this is the thing. If you're new, you're not going to know. You're not going to be able to tell what you're missing. Ah, nope, I got that one. Yellow ochre. Orange. That's the color we don't have. No, we do. Orange, sap green, light green, deep green, Viridian, yep, turquoise blue. Turquoise blue? Oh, this set has a cerulean blue. Let's just not happy. Oh, I put it in there. I didn't see it. I ignored it in the palette. I see it there now. All right, so this is what they're calling cerulean blue, which is this color here. Yeah, they're out of order. Doubles. The card is not correct. So that instead of this is not peach, obviously. This is cerulean blue. It is a cerulean blue. So they got, yeah. This is, I mean, you can see how close they are in tone and in color. So you got two very similar colors for the same, different name, same thing kind of deal. So I don't feel that I think they could have, or they should, and I'm going to bring this up to my collaborator, but recommend that they add another color to their color line and take out one of those two blues, because this is a little more opaque than that one, and it might just been my water load. I don't think so though. You know what it is? It's just one's lighter than the other, but they're just. Let's see, what does their pigment say? Hold on. So. Am I messed up? Hold up. We might have more problems than. Let me just make sure. Okay, we have scarlet, we have crimson, vermilion, lemon yellow, mid yellow, Naples yellow, yellow ochre. Yep, orange, sap green. Okay, deep green. Viridian. Yep. And then turquoise. That says cerulean there. OMG. Viridian. This is supposed to be cerulean blue, which is not that. Sky blue, which is I think that is. Let's compare these two. Where's the? Okay, this is. Here's my swatch paper. It's right in front of me, Shauna. It's right in front of you. So this is ultramarine, supposedly. Yeah. Okay. And sky blue is. I'm going to have to get a pen and mark these. So this one is ultramarine, and that's what that is. Where's my pencil? Because now there's too many out of line. Okay, so this is not sky blue. This is ultramarine. And then in the peach I just used, let's see. See which one this matches. Okay, yeah, this is where the ultramarine's at. So this is the cerulean, which is right. That it looks more cerulean to me. But this is a lighter. This is more a greener side of cerulean. No, because cerulean blue's up there, but that's not that color. So what color did that one get? I found it. This is the one I swatched up there, and it's turquoise blue. Yeah, that's that one. Okay. And this is exactly how they were. Light green, deep green. Oh wait, no. Yeah, light green, deep green, viridian. Yep. Okay. Then this turquoise blue. That's what that is. That's that one. This one is this one. That's Prussian, I know. So here's the other one that was. Here's the thing too, and this is why they could bring in another color, and maybe another pink color. I think would this set would benefit from, like a pink, another different pinky red maybe. Because while this one's nice, it's crimson, so it's really dark. The only really pink they have is the rose. But they could, you know, bring in a different pink for sure, to kind of balance the set more. And definitely make sure that, you know, you get the violet in your set. And if you have any troubles with their set, call the customer service line. See, this is that really light one here. And you guys may not, let me see if I bring it down. Oh, sorry. Ooh. Trying to see if I can bring it down so you guys can really see the difference in the colors. There's not a lot of difference. There is subtleties. This one's deeper than this color, but similar color blue, where this one is also in the same family, but it's leans more towards the green. So I don't think you need both of these two here. I would say swap one of those out for a pink, and that's what this one is. So this is sky. Definitely not peach. Peach is over there. Okay, so that's what we have. I've fixed the issue. Yeah, okay. So then the only thing we need to swatch now, this is Cerulean. And actually, I think it's pronounced Cerulean, not Cerulean, but you know, I'm an American, so whatever. Awesome, Mama. Awesome. Welcome back, Chris. Okay, so I'm going to put these now where they are on the swatch, so they make sense. Okay, so they were all over here, but now we got to make sure that we have. Okay, so after the peach comes the sky, and that might have been there, but that's, yeah. Okay, so then over here, the ultramarine is next to the turquoise. So these two go here. Yep, Viridian, turquoise, ultramarine. And then the cerulean goes after the Prussian. Okay, we're correct now. Yeah, a newcomer, which I think this set's really kind of is great, would be great for new people. I think, yeah, production issues. That's all I'm going to say. Okay, so let's raise it up a little bit now that we've done our swatching. The first thing I'm going to do, I brought out some different color papers for us to have a little bit of a play on. I got my tubes right here in case I need to pull more paint. And we have our swatch card. You guys could help out. And in fact, you know what? Let me put these on a board. I have a watercolor board here. We're going to put, and I brought out, like I said, some different papers. So typically, if you're going to paint watercolor, you want 140 pound at least weight of paper. And some may disagree, but I firmly believe if you really want to seriously get into watercolor and you're not just using it for crafts to make cards and things, you want 100% cotton paper. Now, that said, there are some papers out there that are less expensive that are 140. You don't need the most expensive. Like some people say to practice on whatever expensive paper you want to use, but or try, which is, you know, I'm a big, I like Stonehenge and I like Arches paper, 100% cotton, 140, you know, and you can get cold press, hot press, whatever. And if you don't know the difference between the papers or anything you may have, you've heard about watercolor or gouache or outside anything I say or just questions in general, go ahead and ask. But typically, you know, I don't recommend, you know, practicing on arches because, you know, it's oh crap, what do you do? That's very expensive paper. And so, oh, is that me? Oh, that's not me. I didn't put any pink on there. Maybe I did some other time and not this time. This is a synthetic paper. It's Yupo paper. You see a lot of people use this with alcohol inks, and maybe I did get it on there. Maybe it was on my mat or something. Now I got some blue. I had blue on my hands, so that makes sense. The pink doesn't make sense. Oh, I know why. My granddaughter must have been playing. She left me a little. She must have got that pink and the blue on there. Anyway, this is Yupo paper. It is another paper that you can, it's a synthetic paper with a very smooth surface. So your paints generally will glide all over, and that's why it's great for watercolor and watercolor and alcohol inks and that kind of thing. Okay, that's one of the papers I'm going to use. Get my tape out here. And we're going to see how these babies move on this different paper. Ooh, I got some 20-pound, 100% cotton paper coming. I can't wait to play with it. Okay, and then this is B paper. This is a nice quality, 140 pounds, 100% cotton paper. I think it's 100%. Yeah, it is, right? I'm pretty sure. I'm almost positive it is. Unless they've changed it. Yeah, it's 140, 100% cotton paper. And then this would be a good one because you buy it in packs where they're 6x9. So it's great. So if you want to make cards or whatnot, work on smaller size, especially if you're just practicing, playing around, getting familiar with watercolor in general, it's a good, because you get a lot of sheets for the few dollars you spend on a package of paper. But this isn't really about paper so much as it's about the paints. So we're going to paint. Now this is, Arteza has a couple different papers in their line. They do have the 140 or 100% cotton paper. They did have that available. It's pricey though. Most 100% cotton papers are pricier. But this is Arteza's mixed media paper. And so Arteza has their non 100% watercolor paper, and then they have their mixed media paper, and then they have their 100% cotton paper. And this mixed media paper is nice because it's smooth on one side, textured on the other. So it's like, but the way it's holds, let me cut this, is really good, especially if you're wanting to use watercolors with mixed media. This is a good paper to have. It's lightweight. So you could either, it's nice, you could draw on it and then cut, it's nice thin paper for like collage, like if you want to do your own images and stuff. This is a really good paper for that. Okay. Tape. Okay. So I haven't done any painting yet other than swatching, but I know a lot of people like swatching. You guys are quiet. Talk to me, man. Don't leave me hanging, girls. Oh, 5 people, right? And watercolor's not for everybody, so. But I hope they pop in and see the fun we're going to have, because now we're going to get jiggy with them. Let's see how these paints stack up, what we think about them outside of their packaging. Yeah. All right. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to do a few color mixes and see if I get what I'm accustomed to. Oh, you're doing a Father's Day. No, work in the background. If you got, that's all you guys are doing, that's fine too. I just, you know, I don't want people to feel like nobody's talking. Anybody here? Y'all sleeping? But no, I encourage working in the background. Don't I, Chris? All right. So, oh, I need my water bottle. My spray bottle. What are you up to today, Mama, besides all that exciting stuff? Oh, now I can show you guys. Oh, I meant to show you guys earlier when there was more people here. But anyway, so I was playing with a little bit of, I got to get some more resin. Oh my God, I'm so low. But I was playing yesterday. You guys, those that have seen the video or the live, I purchased some scrap jewelry, you know, and it, but some really nice scrap jewelry, and I want to alter it, you know. So I got some for myself, and then I'm getting rid of the, you know, selling the rest or whatnot. But I want to show you guys what I made using the resin and some of the jewelry pieces. So this top one, actually, let me bring you guys down here so you can see. So I'm not trying to stretch. Okay, I'm just gonna bring you down here real low. So this one is, you can see there's a vellum lady in there, and if I move my hand, you can see there's also a napkin behind her. So the outside shell is an earring. It was a hoop earring that I played with and made it into a bezel. Come on. Seriously. Got better? No. There we go. Okay. Isn't that fun? Look at that. Those are actual vintage buttons there. And so the lady she was on vellum. I had the Prima vintage vellum paper, and so I cut her out, and then they're all held in by resin. So there you can see more of the napkin. But so when I do it, I'm going to make this into a dangle for sure. So when it's flat like that, you can't see the napkin. It's very, you know, opaque, and you can see the picture. And then it's fun when you, so if they get it, they buy the dangle, they can hang it from like their window, and they'll be able to get that pretty show through of the napkin. I thought that was really fun. And then this one here, especially since the ghost was here, so that's another reason why I had to wait. Yes, you do. Selecting pictures to put in a collage frame. Okay, Pastor, what are you saying that for? So here, these are actually clematis flower petals from the Ghost Garden, and it's got something on there. This was, or is still, well, it was a bracelet, a silver tone bracelet. There we go. And then I encased in resin the flower petals. Come on. Come on. Come on. Oh, it doesn't like me. But anyway, I thought that was really pretty. This is going to go, the plan for this one is to go on a cover. These are not all for the same journal. They're just, you know. And then this one, really fun. I played around with the Tim Holtz tissue paper. And using the resin with it made it transparent, the background of the paper, but leaves you with the image. It's amazing. So this is a dangle earring. It was a dangle earring. Now it's a bezel. Come on, cooperate. Oh, for heaven's sakes. There we go. Okay. And so I started out with the earring, and those are actual dimensional flowers, fabric flowers on there. And you could still feel some of the beading that was already on the earring. And then that text you see in the background, that's the text that is on the Tim Holtz tissue paper. And so, but when you wet it, or you glue it down, the background of that paper disappears, and then you're left with whatever the image is. So in this case, it's words, and then I put one of the Tim Holtz stickers on there that you can see it can hang. So this is going to be part of a dangle too. Yeah, have fun making those. Thank you, Chris. All right, now let's get down to business. Okay, so the first thing I'm going to try is, and this is where I mix my own gray, but let's first, I need to get my palette. Well, that one's not going to be good for mixing now because I got paint all over it, but that's okay. I'm going to go over here to my palette for my, I'm going to wipe some of this out. So yeah, so we have some regular watercolor paper, we have U-Pull paper, and a lesser expensive paper that you could use with watercolor to play with. Just making sure I use this side of the palette so I can keep there. And we also need to swatch their white, but I'll do that later. Let's have some fun. I'm itching to paint with them. But yeah, so far I like the consistency. I think the set could be very nice with some minor adjustments and corrections. That's about where we're at. The first mix I'm going to do is a gray, or in our world, watercolor world, a dark. Yeah. So, and usually, let me see if I put this over here. Let me come down here a little bit. Okay, so generally, you mix a gray with ultramarine and a neutral, such as burnt sienna, raw sienna, burnt umber. Will give you different colors in the grayish family. So I'm going to take some of the ultramarine. No, over here. And that's this one. Okay, and they're starting to dry up a little bit. So let's see how well they release. So far, okay, but again, it's still early. So take a little bit of ultramarine, and I'm going to add in, I'm going to go ahead and this one. Yeah, this is the burnt sienna. See what we get. Oh, nice. A little too much brown. That's okay. And it's good for you to mix your own colors, and I think it's a good practice. It's getting better now. All right. So there's a very nice lightish, darkish gray color. And it might be more on the blue side, but you know, that's why I said you can pick whether you want to be more gray or more blue. So this is a blue or gray color than say their actual Payne's gray, which is more gray. So that's going to dictate, you know, what you're looking for. They seem to mix fine. I mean, it needs a little more, you know, this was just a simple mix experiment. Let's see. What is other? Let me get a different piece of paper. Where did oh, here. Just for the mixing really quick. And then we'll do some quick paint. I'll do some painting on here. It'll be fun. And I won't stay on much longer. What time is it? Almost 4 o'clock. Yeah. We will play a little bit and then go from there. Let's see. What other mix do I want to do? Well, they only have the rose, which is to me less rosy and more of what the heck is the color? That pink that it's very fugitive. Do I even have that in my palette? I don't think I do. No, I don't have and I can't think of it offhand, so it doesn't matter. Let's do ultramarine with no, let's do a green. Let's try this deep green. That's this one. Deep green. Oh, let me raise you guys. You guys can see what I'm doing here. Okay. So I'm mixing in this well here. And I would say that this deep green is more, it is very vibrant. I will say that their colors are vibrant. Yeah. Okay. Let's see. Let's move that out of there. Let's see. Maybe the Scarlet Red. Let's see what the Scarlet Red does. I mean, the one thing, it is kind of hard for me to say because it depends on what's in these pigments. Other than, I mean, I know they have the color, the pigments listed, but again, oh yeah. So this is a really good, and I only know this because I deal with these. I'm accustomed to these colors. But if you mix certain pinky reds with a really dark deep green, you get a this is very muted, like a muted purple. And you could even brighten it up. I could come in here and add a little bit more red and get more of a brick or maroon type color in the mix. Then I can come back in here and add in more of the green. That was probably too much. So let's just see. Let me add a little bit more of the red. There we go. So it's even, I think this is going to be even darker than this one. Yeah. So, I mean, you get two, you can get 3 different colors out of 2 colors or more. Depends on what you're mixing. Okay. So that's that. Let's just paint. Let's just have some fun now. But on this one over here, this mixed media paper, I want to, I'm going to do some stenciling on this because I've already actually played with a little bit as far as painting on it when I was doing the swatching. And then I'll tell you my opinion as far as how the paints are on not 100% mixed media paper. So I do say that it's not watercolor. I love this paper though. So in my opinion, it's a really good, inexpensive, you know, mixed media paper. And that's truly what I use it for. When I do my watercoloring, whether I'm using gouache or not, unless I'm just using it to scan something, I don't paint necessarily pure watercolor on this paper. You can use it for that by all means, but the thing about watercolor is the movement, and that's what we're going to find out now, is how well these paints move compared to what I'm accustomed to and how they want to play and interact. So okay, and then over here we'll do some regular color, and then definitely on the 100 board. Now I prefer cold press watercolor paper more often than not, but you might be a smooth watercolor person where you don't want the paper to have texture, so you want hot press. Cold press is textured. They say related to that, you know, of iron. And it's hot, it smooths your fabrics or your clothes. When it's cold, not so much. But textured watercolor paper, cold press, rough press, whatever, is so fun to play on. Yeah, it's the one I prefer the most. I like how the paints play and move and dance on the paper. Okay. Hello, hello. I see some more faces up in the wallflower seats. Welcome in. Okay. All right. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to put in some colors that I want to play with. So let's use the dark green. There's my, okay, or not. Ah! Oh, good, didn't touch it. Hi, Tammy, welcome in and out. And hello. Okay, I'll put a little bit more green in there. I'm a dark green person. It's weird, I love olive green. But when I'm painting with watercolor, I love using my dark greens, and they make fantastic color mixers. So deep sap, dark green, hunter green, any of those really dark green colors will be typically, maybe not all the time, but typically are good to use as a mixer color. And then you can also do and use it from the lightest of its pigment load to the highest, more water, less water, for your foliage. Yeah. All right. So let me dry this. We need to dry that, then we can paint, and we'll be ready. So we've got the reds there to play with. Let's put out a little more ultramarine blue. And I have Prussian blue there, and I have the turquoise, Cerulean, which is good. I want to see how that peach interacts with some of the colors too. So let me put some of that out. Where's that at? Peach. Yeah, see, to me, peach looks like Titan buff, but what do I know? Okay, dry. dry. Nice, Tammy. Good to hear you coming back. Good to hear you're coming back. Hold on a minute. What is the deal here? Right. Dryer cord is caught on something. Okay. There we go. Whew. Okay, much better. And I just hit you guys with my big fat head. So this would be a good time to take an intermission. And then when this is dry, we will paint. So what have you been making today, Tammy? Inquiring minds want to know. Good for you. Good for you. Good to hear. Good to hear that, my friend. The one positive thing too, if you guys haven't went to, refresh your beverage or get a snack or whatever, or you're watching the recording, is that I will say that the baseline of the palette, how do I want to say it? You are limited in the color tones you're working with. So if you know how your colors interact and you're accustomed to a little bit of playing with watercolor, you're going to get some nice, because they're pure pigments, you're going to get some nice mixes out of this set versus the Arteza set or the Prima set, because they're not so streamlined in their colors. They have some really unique colors, plus their colors are mixed. They're not pure pigment, from what I know of. Don't think. I'm pretty sure Arteza was not pure pigment, but I could be wrong. They show some good ratings, so let me see what this says. I don't want to talk out of turn here, so let me see. Yes. They have a lot of unique names to some of their colors. That's why I think a lot of their colors are, while they use pure pigments to make them, they're not typical colors that we work with. Let's put it that way, because if you're trying to get into watercolor by using gouache as a segue, in the Arteza or the Prima, their paints, because they are very chalky and have some different stuff mixed in to make that color. Many times I've found that you don't get the color you're accustomed to when you mix with them, or you let you paint with them, mixing them on the paper and whatnot. Because if they're not pure pigment, you're getting more of I'm just going to throw this out there, could be wrong, a half and half, to where it's half filler, half paint pigment. So keep that in mind too, that those paints, those color from different lesser expensive companies are not going to give you proper mixing. You're going to get a lot of quote unquote mud. Nice, Tammy. Awesome. 9x12 for a journal. That's large. That is large for sure. Large and in charge. And what are we painting today? What's our topic of your painting? Right now, you guys are able to get a potty break, get a refresher beverage. I'm drying Safia. So if you need to head to the little girls' room or whatnot, yeah, we're not really doing much. The hemi gouache, yeah. I've never tried that gouache, but it doesn't. From all the reviews I've seen, it does not appeal to me. Probably a little more chalkier than I would like. I do like the artesian gouache. So far, these as well, is that their movement is good so far. And the colors are good, even though they may not have the right name, but they're good colors to work with. Oh, you're gonna use some flowers with gouache. Nice. Who knew you were a painter? I never knew. You were holding out, my friend. You've been holding out. I'm just saying. Hello, hello. I see some more faces up there in the clouds. This paste, it is thicker than most paste, but it dries. It doesn't dry as hard and clumpy. It's that paper paste by Prima, and I love it, but it does take a hot minute to dry. So that's why I said break time. Let's see. So it's 4 o'clock now. We're going to be finishing this up here shortly. So yeah, I'll probably come back later tonight to do another stream just for a little while to sort all those beautiful cards that I got because the sleeves will be here today. So I want to organize them. And hi, Dana, welcome in. It's my second set, only bigger. Once they dry out, you like them better. Okay. It's the initial paint, but very pigmented, easy to mix colors. They might be, yeah. I've never tried them. I just skeptical based on the reviews I've watched. That's what I was saying earlier. Like based on the reviews, it's not something I think is for me. Nothing against the paints, it's just not for me. Yeah, that's all I'm saying. Oh, gluing jelly prints down. Yep. Finally. Well, you're not a slacker, Safia. Bye, Mama. Of course. Have a great day. Love you. Big hugs. Oh, Mama, wait. Don't go anywhere. Oh, never mind. I'll show you another time. Go. Have a great day. Love you. Let's see. How are we doing over here? Yeah, I'm going to give it a minute to cool down. If you're going to be using mixed media mediums for pastes and gessos and things like that, you want to make sure that it's completely dry before you bring your watercolor brush to your paper. Yeah, I don't know if they're better or worse. It's just yeah. Plus, how fast they dry too will also tell you the grade of the paints. These come out very creamy so far, which is very promising to me. But you want to wait until they're fully cured in the palette. So once these thoroughly dry out, and I'm going to put out a lot, but I'm still going to be able to get a baseline for how well these paints are. Once they're dry and I see how well they release. Right now they're still very wet, even though they're drying by the hot minute. And it might be that they dry really fast. Who knows? That should be enough. Yeah, okay. Let's paint. Okay. So, usually when I do mixed media, I like to have, well, even sometimes painting too, because I do, you see me a lot use spray water in that when I'm doing mixed media with watercolors. But I do also paint non-mixed media, more traditional watercolor. And I also paint, where's my cap? Hello. Oh. I also paint, I can also paint, less water too, less movement, very refined within the space. But I like to watch the pigment float around and get all jiggy with it. So I'm gonna prop this up. Let's move this over here so I can see what my colors are. And there, and then there, and there's my water bucket. So that'll be fine. And I'll leave this here. Let's put this. No, I got to. What kind of language is that? Who learned me English? Okay. I want the Chalkola name to show here, just because this is a review video for them. I should, there we go. Okay. Yeah, come back here. Okay. Brush. Spray bottle check. Dryness check. Paints check. We're good. So let's do. Where did I put my blue? Oh, it's ready to put it in here. Let's see how well it travels. Oh, let me put it so I can see what you guys are talking about. Okay. I'm a cold press person typically, and I'm a floral artist at heart, and it's what everything I do usually has a flower of some sort in it. But even then, usually, typically, more times than not, I've heard, and I don't do portraits, so I can't speak on it much, other than to say I don't do portraits. But I know a lot of portrait artists or those that are doing florals and things like that. They want a hot press paper because it's smoother, But there are a lot of artists that do portrait painting or floral painting, and they use cold press. I use cold press, and even when I'm doing florals. So it's a very typical ultramarine. I wouldn't say. It doesn't wow me, but ultramarine on its own typically doesn't wow me. But there's one thing that now I'm going to put it down, and we'll see it more over here in a second. But ultramarine and some other colors that are made, they have what's called a granulating effect. So, and they could be, you know, a color that's not, you know, just that it could be a mixed color or just a regular pure pigment color. But it still should have the granulation, and it just means that the pigment particles float around and dance on the paper and sit on top. So the colors that are within that line, let's say it's a green and it has a mix of yellow and I don't know, another green in it or blue or whatever. And those colors will separate. So, you know, it may look like it is typically, say it's a more green color, or in this case, ultramarine, it's a more blue color. And let's say ultramarine had another color in it. Let's say, I don't know, purple or pink or, you know, yellow or whatever. But the pigment particles separate and move around on the floor. The paper. I love granulation. I have granulation medium in my studio. It's one of my favorite things. And if you get, Daniel Smith has some very nice, and this is separate off topic, but Daniel Smith has some very nice granulating colors. They have a wide range of paints. They are professional grade paint. I don't know if they actually have a gouache, but I do know. But them and M. Graham have beautiful granulating ultramarines. So we're going to see, I want to see this. Now I'm going to mix this with, I'm going to mix that dark again. Let me go over here to this side. Actually, no, let me do this down. Or not. No, we're not going to do it down. We're going to have it elevated to help ease the paint to move down. So I'm not going to put any water down first. Do I want to? You know what? Let's do that. Let's wet it down. Really give it some options to granulate really well. So just get a little bit of pre-wettedness. And then I'm going to go back in again. And where did I put? Oh, I need more. Again, they do squeeze and release real nice from the tubes. So that is a good positive in my book. Let's get some water in here. And let's just see. Okay. And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to let that do what it wants to do. I'm not going to touch it. I'm not going to do anything else to it. I'm just going to let gravity and the pigment do what it wants to do. Now I'm going to go in and I'm going to take, I'm going to mix some of this ultramarine with the burnt sienna and mix my gray and hopefully be able to show you guys a good example of if it will do it, the granulating. And I don't know if these granulate. It does. I don't have information on that. But I want to see. Actually, let's use burnt umber. It's a little bit darker. So we'll get a really dark gray, and then hopefully when it releases, let's see, let's give this a little bit of, see what happens here. Now I pre-wet this, and we're going to see in a minute, but it doesn't look like we're getting a lot of movement, even with the fact that this was on an incline. It had perfect ability for movement. So now I'm going to have to force it. But that's typical with gouache. Because again, it's opaque. So typically, I don't know, my M gram gouache, but I mix it as I paint it. That's the way it comes. Theirs don't come pre-mixed, which I like. Theirs move like crazy, but this, again, is a different brand. So just trying to get some movement and flow there. Different strengths of the pigment coming down. Okay, now let's mix some of this in there. And right away, I can tell that it's more on the green brown side, so we're going to lighten it up with a little more. Where did it blue? Oh, I guess I didn't put any out, but that's okay. Nice. All right. So this was the gray. This is the lighter gray that I mixed earlier. And then see. So just by changing your neutral, you get a darker gray. Now the nice thing about this is, again, why I don't use black is that, again, it's just so pretty, and you can see the undertone of brown once I hit it with the ultramarine. So let's see what happens. So let me flip this side again. Get it nice and juicy. You don't want it dripping wet. You just need it to be wetter than your brush. More water, more movement. Less water, more constricted. Okay. And going in. Now because this has the brown in it, I'm hoping that once it separates, that it will, we'll be able to see some of that natural granulation if it's there. Okay, now we're going to leave that and just totally let it go to town. As it dries, it's going to, if it has good granulation to it, it's going to separate on its own, and you don't have to do anything to it. So let's just let that sit over there. Once you get the paint moving, I do like, the one fun thing about watercolor is that because it makes, like it has like a staining effect. Because of the movement with the water, you can get hard and soft edges. You can't never, well, I shouldn't say you can't. Watercolor is its own animal in terms of medium. So sometimes some watercolor brands, you don't necessarily get really nice staining and soft and found edges. But to me, if you get a good balance of those, regardless of how you paint, if you see some nice, movement within this little bit that I painted. So you're getting some really nice lighter spots here. and some lines here where the stain has happened. It's, you know, it's not that that's where I painted the line, right? Not when you paint a line like that, but when you let it dance around on the paper and mix on the paper, you're going to get those. And you know, depending on how much water you bring in, get some nice staining. So their movement is good. I like the movement. The paints are very creamy coming out of the tube, which is nice. But I don't know how they're going to be in 6 months. That's the only thing. I don't know. You know, that's not what I can do here for today. But for what it is, for what it's worth, it's nice colors, creamy. I think so far the only objective opinion I would say is that they have some, you know, to deal with their packaging and all that. So, which really has no bearing on the actual quality of the paint itself. So take it for what it's worth. All right, so now this is UPO paper, and unlike whatever this was, I don't know what my granddaughter used. So we're gonna, and it's not even coming off. I bet you it's got to come off. Let me try some alcohol. I bet you that's what she got on it. It was alcohol marker, which is fine because this is UPO paper. So that's what, you know, alcohol markers and alcohol inks really work good on this paper. I'm going to take some hand sanitizer and see if we can rub that off. Not that I care much, but, you know, whatever. And the nice thing about if you work on other than this alcohol ink, so she must have used like I bet you she used like that pink that everybody loves, that's so fugitive. And I still can't think of the name. But if I said it, you guys would know exactly what I was talking about. Okay. So let's paint over here. Let's go into our red department and use some of our reds and pinks. And I really like this. Let's see here. This is that pinky red. And I'm going to go in and add a little bit of the rose. And I got her hair. Probably a kitty hair. Okay. And the fun thing about UPO is first of all, you can get it as wet as you want it, and the paper will not, it gives you that whoosh effect, depending on how much pigment to water ratio you have going on. Oops, let me push this up. I'm out of frame. And the product, and I'm pretty sure this is true to alcohol inks too, is that when you paint or color or art on UPO paper, is that truly, unless it's acrylic, and I don't know why you use acrylic on UPO, but I'm sure people do. I wouldn't know. Is that it never truly dries because of the nature of the paper. Because again, it's a synthetic plastic paper, but you can get some. I've done some stuff on the channel where I've used, and there's a couple different brands other than UPO. This is just the one I had in this size. There's a couple different brands of the UPO paper that are synthetic paper. And I have a couple of them. Nara is one, and what do you call it? UPO, you know, is another. So, but it's once this dries, unlike here, and I will do a swatch. Let's just do this down here. So now this color that I've mixed should be a very staining color. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to paint a block here, and we're going to see if it'll move, because that's another thing you want to do too, is that, and it's probably more true to regular watercolors than gouache, maybe. You want to see if you can move it after, you know, or how staining it is. You know, this should stain really well. and you'll see that it's here, I'll be able to come back in and move this here, and I shouldn't be able to move it here. That's the thing. So the only thing is with the Yupo, the not necessarily a downside, but the flip side to the Yupo paper is that it takes longer to dry. And that's another reason why you can come in and paint on top of paint on top of paint on the Yupo. So I'm just going to add a little bit of pink there. I'm going to dry this. Now, be careful with Yupo. There are a couple of the other synthetic papers you can actually don't have a problem with heat. I know Yupo paper will warp. Hi, Safia. With heat, so I'm going to be very judicious in how I approach drying this. So I can dry up some of that water, because it does take a hot minute. Unlike over here, you see it's already kind of like drying all over crazy. But you can get some nice hard edges to Yupo paper, or to the synthetic paper, all of them, not just Yupo. Synthetic paper in general, get some nice edges because of the way the water evaporates rather than dries, and that's the difference. So here, I'm drying the water, it's going to evaporate because this is plastic basically, where over here, it soaks into the paper and it dries. It doesn't evaporate. I think that's the difference, or the way to think about it in my eyes. I did get a little close there, but that's okay. And if you are going to use heat with in synthetic paper, the ones that are not good with heat, like Yupo, just keep it up high, keep your heat moving. The water will evaporate really quickly. So almost done. And I can see the granulation here. This might have had more of the umber in it. I can see little hints of the brown, but it's more blue based, gray. So you're not seeing much of that, but you can see the granulation that's happening with the pigment itself. And the particles have separated. So I'll show you that in a minute up close. So the paints seem fine to me. It seems like a good mix. One of the positives too, and I said this earlier, I think it's a good base kit of paint, because it has more of the colors that we're accustomed to using, and not something that's called like Paradise Pink or, that kind of thing. They have more of the normal, and I use that term in quotes loosely, normal colors that we would see in a lot of the brands, regardless if it's gouache or not. So that's very nice. So see here, get some really nice lines in there with the Yupo. Come on, focus. Let's see if it's going to show it. I mean, I know you can see some of it. There we go. But you get some really nice flow with the synthetic paper, and you get some really nice, it's that flowy effect, really nice hard and soft edges. And then over here, it did move real well through the paste. What do you call it? Yeah, the paste design. So you got some nice hard and soft lines there, lost and found edges, as most people will call it. Some nice movement in there. So these paints have a lot of good going for them. So let's see. This is, let me get back. Just because I want to make sure it's dry before we do an actual test. I want to show you guys now the movement of the staining pigments and how the difference between regular watercolor and the synthetic paper is. So here, that's dry. This spot's wet, but over here is completely dry. So I'm going to come in and I'm just going to bring in a little water and see now I can get that moving, right? Get a little jiggy with it there. And then I'm going to take that same color and I'm going to come over here where I painted it. And so see, it doesn't move. That's the fun attribute of the synthetic paper. Yeah, a good starter kit. I would recommend it. I think in terms of if you're new to watercolor and you're still trying, and I still learn things every day about watercolor. As long as I've been doing it, I still learn something new every day. This is the one pigment. Oh, I think that's what I started to say earlier too. That has it has a mind of its own. And while there's ways that you can control watercolor based on how much water you add to it or not, whatever. I guess, you really just want, if you're just starting out, you really want to get paint lines that have these base main colors. And a lot of times you'll see, and if you want to try a more professional grade, I know that like Daniel Smith and M. Graham, they have little starter sets with like only 3-4 colors in it or whatever. But yeah, this is a nice starter gouache set, I would say. And now, okay, so we did that test in terms of movement and how staining they are. So they've got some nice, because of their pigment load, and I think, that they're using, possible. They say artist quality, so I'm gonna say that because it's on their packaging. Disclaimer: if they're wrong, if I'm wrong, it's because they're wrong. But I think they are using some good pure pigments in their color line, which is nice. Okay, now for the granulating, you'll see that it's more prominent in the ultramarine by itself. But the fun thing about the granulation and making your own mixes is you can bring in that movement, that texture visually with granulated paints. They're just beautiful. I love the way they dance around on the paper. And so I'm going to come in here and you're going to see that stretch there that's starting to get all scratchy, kind of not firm, maybe is the right word. I don't know. But you see how it's kind of, that's granulation, but I'm trying to get it to show. Oh, there we go. I just wasn't close enough. So see there's the granulation happening within the ultramarine. So we got that strong pigment up here, and then it starts to granulate down, which is, like I said, one of the attributes of a granulating color. And you can see it here, and if you guys can't see it, I'll point it out. Well, I'll point it out anyway. This is now the ultramarine mixed with burnt Sienna? No, burnt umber. I'm sorry, burnt umber. But in this mix, you can see where the blue and the brown, and especially like right up in here. See this area right here? You can really see, and definitely on this line right here, where the brown is coming, it's separating from the blue a little bit, and you can see it, hints of it, and I just want to make sure I'm close enough. Sorry for all the wiggling. But you can really see, you can still see the granulation happening all over this paint line, but you can see little hints of brown in that whole paint spot. So that's one fun thing about watercolors. There's so many different attributes that watercolors bring to, when I paint with watercolors, it's always fresh to me. It's never, for an inexpensive brand, Um, this is really a fun paints to play with, and they have some of the attributes that you would expect to see. So hey, thumbs up and a plus for that, right? And hi Debbie. So yeah, they're meeting some of the basic product test levels, I would say, if you want to say, I don't even know how to say it, but they're meeting some of those expectations that I usually see when I paint. So yeah, kudos to Chalkola for that. I think overall so far, without waiting until tomorrow or 24 to 48 hours for these to dry and see how well they release once they're dry. Other than that, and I'll be able to form a better opinion. And other than the product packaging, so that has no bearing really on the quality of the paint. This is a really good set. So if they can fix their distribution or manufacturing, product packaging, whatever you want to call it, issue, which is very minor in my book. Other than the fact that if you're really new, you're not going to know. I was able to figure it out because I've been painting watercolor for years. But if you're not a watercolor painter, you don't know that it's wrong. So that really has no bearing on the actual paint. So I like the paints. And so here's the 60 sets of the Arteza. First of all, let me show you now to do comparison in terms of product really quick before we go, and then we'll come back later and do cards. But I want to show you guys something. So I didn't bother to put the names on here because for me, this set is a fun set. It's a play set. It's a, maybe I'm doing something in my art journal set, or I'm creating a greeting card. Yeah, really nice price too. Plus, my coupon code is in the description box. So you can get 10% off your order. And if you have any problems with it, let me know, and I'll reach out to my coordinator. But while they have some names we're used to seeing, Viridian green, sap green, that kind of thing, their colors, because these are not, I don't believe these are pure pigments, but maybe I don't know, do I still have the thing in here? I don't think I do. But I do like their paints, but still, it's, they have a lot of color names that are not normal. So this is one of those sets that if you're just playing around, goofing off, crafting, making cards, whatever, it's great for, in that you get a lot of different colors to play with. But some of it's not really true to what the color is. Like here, which one is this one? Because I went in order too. So this is, but no, I changed it around. That's right. I did change it around based on the rainbow, because they had some colors in different places, and that's a whole nother story. I kind of touched on it earlier, but really, I don't know. I just feel like these are play. These are what you pull out when you want to play, and you don't want to necessarily do. You can do serious art, because look, I mean, and you can print it, scan it, whatever, and they've got lace. A lot of these colors have great light fast value to them. But I think for me, and for somebody that's been painting for so long, and if you're just starting out, I would gravitate towards a brand that has just, sometimes less is more. And so when you have more of the basic colors that you'll find in all the brands, because here's the thing, when you go from a student grade, and that's what these would be considered as student grade paints, both of these. When you go from student grade to professional, And if you've only been painting for a little while, you want something that's familiar to you, right? And you want to be able to create the same thing from, in your learning. If you're a professional watercolorist or artist like myself, and you're able to capture those nuances that are different from one brand to another, that's one thing. But especially if you're just new, you want to be able to go from your student grade to your professional grade and not have a big gap in the names of the paints and the general color that it is, right? So that's one thing to keep in mind. And I say that even about the non-gouache paints. Same with, like, again, if you're getting a Prima or an Arteza, and then you try to move into a professional grade of paint, and other than the colors that are the basics, like ultramarine, I there's some that are prettier. I prefer, Daniel Smith versus, M. Graham, but like my sap green, I prefer my M. Graham versus my yeah. So I mean, that's just one thing to keep in mind. That's why I think that the Chalkola gouache is a good starter set, because it does. And even Lindsay the Frugal Crafter, who's another big watercolor artist on YouTube, and a lot of watercolor artists will do that. If you go to take classes, a lot of them will have a specific paint color and brand they want you to get, because they like their baseline, their yellows, their the ultramarine, the whatever. So that's just one good thing that Chalkola has it. And it's not to say, like here, this is the ultramarine blue that's on here, and it stacks up pretty well to the Chalkola in terms of color, right? And I can't remember if there's granulates or not, so I won't speak on that here, but I will say that Chalkola's paints has the ones that are meant to granulate seem to have a little bit of that attribute that's going for it. So you're going to get a little bit of that experience. At least that's what I'm finding. I could be wrong, but I showed you guys in the test here that granulation that's happening. Because regardless if I painted it flat or not, that granulation happens regardless of how you paint and where you paint, because it's part of the attribute of that paint, not the company that it comes from. But there are some, I at least know of one. I won't speak of it, but there are some saturation levels, whereas in, like, you may prefer one ultramarine versus another because this company has more granulation, or this company has less granulation in theirs. So that's really, again, has no bearing on Chalkola, other than the fact that I do like the granulation effect I was getting from their paints. Again, very creamy coming out of the tube. It came to me fine. Everything was packaged well in terms of the overall kit, the 36 set, rather. The tubes are pretty standard, nothing fancy, or not, absolutely fine. All the caps came off with no problem. They do come in, it's got the 2 trays in there, so you can keep everything nice and organized. Me personally, and I'm going to have to get another one of these palettes because I love them for my inexpensive gouache. But this is a true telltale of a paint line that's fairly mixed with the binder and the additives. You see all the cracking happening, which is just a sign that it has that in it. It's an inexpensive, chalky paint, and regardless if it's gouache or not, it has has that, the reason why they dry out and crack is because they don't have enough moisture in their mix. And they have too much, they've mixed it too much with other stuff, additives, whatever. So it'll be interesting to see how well, and these release pretty good. They have some colors that are iffy, I would say. But well, it'll be interesting to see how in tomorrow or the next day, how these dry up on here. If there's any cracking happening. And we'll know. I mean, this is how dry they look right now. So they're drying pretty well. But I won't know any cracking or that until tomorrow or Saturday. So I as an overall, I would recommend Chalkola. But if you just want a fun set that has a whole bunch of different colors, this is a fun set to have. So I do like my Arteza Gouache. I'm not a big proponent, or let's just say I haven't been a huge proponent of Arteza. Nothing against them. It's just I don't gravitate towards student grade products. But I would say, if I was scanning my work with that, I would have no problem using Arteza. But because I generally, other than my digitals, I generally paint and sell my work professionally. So take that with, for what it's worth, a grain of salt. But yeah, I do like their paint so far. And I'm getting more back into the watercolor, but I'm going to do videos. I'm not going to do a lot of lives doing watercolors because a lot of people don't like it and it's boring for them. On top of me being boring, so I don't want to totally bore you guys. I do my mixed media watercolor. I'll always do that, but any base like watercolor, because I'm going to be doing some more painting again. I will probably pull out my Chalkola, and I'll probably have them both out. But I do like this. I do like this paint for that. But typically, I'll gravitate towards my professional regular watercolors. And the thing with watercolors is, again, you can mix it with white. Mix any of your watercolors with titanium white. Some people have like this one. What do they call theirs? They have titanium white, but they have, what do they call their other white? They call their other white zinc white. Whereas some companies will call it I just had it, Chinese white. So and the difference is the opacity level, and you can tell on these tubes. I think Arteza is the same way. Let's just see. Yeah, they have their information right on their tubes. But so titanium white is typically more opaque than zinc white. And these tubes show you, see how under the PW4 and the zinc, it has a half moon, whereas in the circle is filled in completely on the titanium white. That means that this color is more opaque. Opaque means coverage. So it covers more than this would. This is the lesser opaque, so you're going to be able to see more layers underneath it, which is not a bad thing necessarily. But be careful mixing your whites. You might come up in any brand of paint. you might come up with a color you're not really fond of. But play. I always say that. And I would recommend these from what I've experienced so far. I mean, I think I need to paint with them a little more to give a full on review. But from what I've experienced today, I do like them. And you will see these used in some of my future videos. So what did we do today? We tested mixed media. We tested UPO. UPO is very fun. And I'll make sure to use different papers in some of the videos that I'm going to be doing, so you guys can see both with these paints and my professional paints. We checked granulation, we checked flow, we checked opacity level is good. They're yeah, I would think. But I wonder, I still keep thinking, and other than the ones that are already, well, no, that wouldn't be true either. See, the only other thing I would note is that they may want to add a pamphlet, a small little pamphlet or something to maybe not give a full detail on their paints, but kind of give some like beginner, show some, you know, how you buy something and it always has those, you know, suggestions or recommendations or whatever on product. Yeah. Because these have good opacity to them, but they have some good lightness to them too. Yeah. I didn't test the whites, but I'll do, let's do that. Oh, you know what? Let's do that really quick. I was gonna wait, but you know what? I need some clean water though. Let's move this over here really quick. I don't need this. I don't need that. Let's do this. Let's just see what our whites look like. So now this one is titanium white. Mia, go lay down. This poor doggy. Her mommy needs to come and get her. I don't think she's feeling well. So I'll put the white over here. This is the titanium white. Yes, and titanium white too. You can generally tell because it'll be more brighter. It'll be brighter. It'll be oh, here's the other. Okay, so the zinc white already crumbled, so it may be that these are more chalky. But again, it's only white, so you know. Yeah, and see this one, I'm going to show you. I'm going to dry it really quick. I forgot to do this. I want to make sure I sample everything. And you can tell already the difference in the opacity level. There's a silver white over here, or pearl white. It's a pearlescent white. I'm not going to worry about that one right now. Yeah, okay, now let me dry. And then I'm logging off. But yeah, I hope if you're in the market to try some inexpensive gouache paints, maybe you'll check out Chalkola. You'll use my code. Okay, so here is the zinc white. And the letters are, you know, it's kind of hazy. You can barely tell that it's there because it's less opaque, so it's a good mixing white. But then you come over here and you see that the titanium white, you can definitely see the color swatch there, and the letters are less visible. And so, you know, that's the difference. Titanium white generally is a very opaque, bright white. So yeah, I wouldn't say that this titanium white. Let me see. I'm gonna try to really massage this. So yeah, these paints, once they dry up, I can almost guarantee it. Same with like the Arteza and maybe the Prima. I don't know. I've never had Prima. but it's gonna, some colors will have hard time releasing. So yeah, so a couple layers of that, and those words are almost gone. You know what titanium white is like for me in the watercolor, not so much maybe the acrylic, but it reminds me of like, and I'm sure they still sell the whiteout bottles with the liquid whiteout. That's what the titanium white reminds me of. I don't know why. I don't know. So, but anyway, so that is my initial review. I think it's a good starting set for newbies. It's also will give you, you know, if you want to go on holiday and you want to just throw together a quick, you know, small palette of gouache paint, this would be another good set for that. Yeah, so if you're in the market, I hope you'll give it a try and let me know what you think. If maybe you are a professional watercolor artist as well, and maybe you want to try this out and tell me what your opinions are, and we can have coffee. But yeah, so all right, guys, that's it. I love you all, and thank you for watching, and I will see you guys in the next video or live stream. Go shop Chalkola. They have a lot of fun products to play with. And you all have a great day. Bye.